Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane here, and this is live stream number 154. And if some of you haven't heard, I just released a new song. On Monday, I posted a video for my latest release, Plastic Cup. So that song is now available. In fact, I'll post a link for you all. This link will take you to the video that I posted, as well as where you can listen to the song. It's available on Spotify and currently distributing to other streaming services as well. And you can even download the song for free on Bandcamp if you would like. So if you haven't heard it already, definitely check it out. It is my latest release, and there's going to be more video content coming related to that particular song. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But for this particular stream, we're going to be having a look at what went into the making of this song of Plastic Cup. I've actually got a project here that you should all be able to see. And I thought I would just break it down. We're going to talk a little bit about what goes into giving a song that professional sound. And that's definitely something, I've been recording music for several years now. And when you first learn it, it's just fun to be creative. It's just fun to hear your ideas come to life. That's the most satisfying part. But then one fateful day, you end up comparing your recordings to a professional song, and you start to realize, wow, my stuff sounds really amateur in comparison. It sounds really small or quiet or muddy or whatever it might be. It just does not sound as polished. It doesn't sound as big and powerful. It doesn't sound as good. And it's a constant journey just trying to figure out how do you get that sound. And it's definitely been a journey indeed. And I'm still learning. There's definitely still ways to go, but I'm confident enough to say that I think my music is in the ballpark. And there's definitely still stuff to improve. I'm still growing and learning, but there's definitely stuff to improve on it. And I think I've learned enough and certainly be able to help. So whether you're making your own music and you're just looking for a little bit of advice, some things that kind of help to take your mixes to the next level, your songs to the next level, you might find some interest in this. Or if you're just watching and you're just curious what goes into the song writing process, the song production process, if you're curious what kind of happens, just let me know. And at any moment, feel free to ask questions, just whatever you're curious about, as long as it's kind of music related, for the most part. Maybe a few non-music related ones will be okay here and there. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them and let me know. If you're out there, give me a little wave, say hello. I know Gravitron was commenting and saying, I actually need to learn this. And so I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope you find this interesting. And I was making a comment. I don't know if you got your username from a ride, but I used to go to the state fair with my parents when I was a kid, and they had a bunch of different rides there. And of course, the rides are portable. It's not like a theme park where everything is super big and established in place. They're portable rides, but they still have some pretty intense ones. And one of the better rides was the Gravitron. And it kind of looks like a flying saucer. It's this device, you walk inside of it, and it's got these angled walls that no seat belts, you just lean back against it. It's got some padding, and it gets spinning, and the gravity pushes you against the wall. And I remember once you're getting fast enough, you could actually flip yourself to be upside down, and that was really satisfying to do. But of course, you got to flip back before it slows down and the gravity returns. So anyway, I was curious if that's where you got the name from. But anyway, I think we're going to dive into this. So let's go ahead. We're going to have a listen to the song. I don't know if we're just going to listen to a little bit. We might listen to the whole thing, especially since we're kind of waiting for some people to show up. So yeah, let's just have a listen with what we're working with, and then I'm going to kind of break down and talk about some of the things I learned with this song, some of the things that I think helped kind of give it a more professional sound. So here we go. This is Plastic Cup.
Chance and chase a dream, but never realized just how lonely things would be. Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk, with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up. Would someone just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough? I'm born out, all that's filled me up, so I'm tossed away like a plastic fight the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things. Every effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone who can lend a hand and pull me from this garbage can. Would someone just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough? I'm bored out, all that's filled me up, so I'm tossed away like a plastic cup. Would someone just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough? I'm bored out, all that's filled me up, so I'm tossed away like a plastic cup. And still I'm tossed away like a plastic cup. It's for you tonight. There's something inside of me, and I know it's more than just a brain. Someone to show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I'm bored out, all that's filled me up, so I'm tossed away like a plastic cup. I know you feel like a piece of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, 'cause to me, you're treasure.
All right, so there we go. So that's Plastic Cup. And we got Leo in the chat. Hey, Leo. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, I just released a song, just released Plastic Cup, and we're going to be kind of looking into, I'm going to share some things that went into making the song, producing it, and share some things that I learned. You know, if you're just curious of what goes into the song production process, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Of course, Leo was commenting saying how old the program looked, and there's actually kind of a funny story behind that. Man, I don't remember. I think it was 2012. I think 2012 I got this laptop that I'm using, that I'm streaming on right now, and I got Logic Pro 9. And what stinks is, right as I bought Logic Pro 9, I think shortly after that, Logic 10 came out. And Logic 10 is the current, I think Logic before, it received updates all the way up to 9, and then they revamped it. So it was like a new program. I think it was, you had to purchase it. It wasn't just like, oh, you can update to Logic Pro 10. It's like, no, you had to purchase it. And I think now it's just called Logic. It might be Logic X or just Logic now. And so obviously I didn't want to buy it right away. And then now years later, I've developed templates and things, and so I'm kind of scared to update because I don't want to lose my templates and all that stuff. One day I'll have to pull the trigger on that, but I will say most people don't see this unless I'm doing a stream where I'm showing it off, and all that really matters is how it sounds. I don't really care how it looks. It's just the kind of results it gives you as far as sound. So, all right, so Plastic Cup. What we're going to be talking about, I did one of these a while back. A couple months ago, I released a song called Waiting, and I did a video kind of talking about the production and some of the effects and tricks that I used on that. And I might touch base on that a little bit, but this one I actually want to talk about something that might be a little less expected. Again, when you're first learning to record and get that professional sound, you're always thinking it's about the gear, and it's about the recording techniques and all that stuff, and it's definitely important to do that. But more and more, I've learned that really what helps, it's proper arrangement, like learning how to arrange the instruments in the song, and then learning how to create moments throughout the song to keep the listener's attention. And that's really the main thing. The thing that professional songs do so well is they're really good at retaining the listener's attention, and they just kind of hit hard and get out quick. And that's sort of what I want. I like the songs that I've written, but again, a lot of the songs I've released are older songs, and the one thing I can say, the one criticism I have of myself is, let me explain it this way. it's really easy to come up with ideas. As a creative person, you could come up with an idea every day. So in a year, that's 365 ideas. Excuse me. But practically speaking, when you actually have to bring one of those ideas and produce it into a finished product, that takes a lot longer. And for me right now, the speed at which I can do that, it takes about 2 months just to release a song. So that's a total of 6 songs a year, not including the stripped down versions. I could double it to 12 if I release a stripped down version as well. But just an actual song, that's 6 songs a year. So 365 ideas, but only 6 of them can be released in a year. And so the truth is, like, you're not going to be able to work on all your ideas. And it's really easy as a creative person to sort of be excited about a certain idea, like in the moment, but you do kind of have to step back and think like, wait, it's going to take some work to work on this. Is this really something, like, is this really my best material? Is this really something that I want to put forth the effort? Because it does take a lot of work. And when you're done, it's more satisfying when you know you made exactly what you wanted to make and not just what you wanted to make in the moment. And so that's one thing I've kind of been learning. A lot of my songs, I like them, but I do think some of them, some of the arrangements can be a little lengthy. My problem, or my critique with some of my older songs, is that it just takes too long to get to the good part, And so that's something I've been trying to work on, is just kind of trying to make the songs more engaging and more interesting. Hey, we got Stan in the chat. Stan, hope you're doing well. If you have any questions at any moment, definitely feel free to ask them. Leo was saying, it's like how nobody wants to move to Windows 11. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that. I'm not like up to, I'm a Mac user, so I'm not totally up to speed with like Windows and stuff, but I've heard that Windows can be a little frustrating. So, but again, I don't have any personal experience with that. I will say, when you're used to using like Apple products, anything else is totally foreign, and vice versa. It's funny, like I use Apple computers, but my phone is an Android, and so whenever I have to use an iPhone, it's like foreign to me. Like I just turn into a complete moron. Like, have no idea how to use it. But I'm very efficient with my own phone. So anyway, yeah, one of the big things that I learned, oh, thank you. Yep. Good to hear that, Stan. One of the things that I learned is that, a lot of what makes the song sound really professional is not just the quality of the recordings or how you're processing it, but just the arrangement itself, and learning how to create moments throughout the song, and really just trying to keep it interesting. Like, I mean, song producers have been doing that for years, and like even back, certainly in the 90s, well, no, even like the 80s too, 90s, definitely the 2000s, a lot of the music I was listening to. But even now, like people with really short attention spans, it's almost more important now just to make sure that your song is doing something. Now, what you don't want to do, that doesn't mean that you don't want to write a riff salad. So what that is, that doesn't mean the music just totally changes every few bars and never returns to familiar melodies or familiar established chord progressions or anything like that. So the song structure is still fairly simple. A lot of songs use that verse, chorus, bridge, chorus structure, and there's a good reason for that, because it's a very it's just a tried and true structure. It's very simple, very easy to follow, very easy to understand where you're at in the song, and you kind of know what to expect. But throughout that structure, you can still create variation, and you can still create intrigue to make each moment of the song sound kind of different. A basic example of that is like comparing verse 1 to verse 2. They're both technically the same section, but verse 2 is usually going to have some parts in it that distinguishes it from verse 1. So this is something I've kind of been learning lately and trying to do. So let's dive into this. Let's have a look at the song here. So probably the first thing, just giving people a chance to even listen to the song. Like you want them to be eager for what's to come. So you have to make a good first impression. So I knew for this song, when I first wrote it, I just kind of had the riff. I don't think I had much of an intro. And then I sort of had this idea, okay, it might be cool to start with a single guitar and then have it kick in with the full band. So I've got a few special effects. Let me talk about what we're looking at here. So this green track, this green line you're seeing here, that's the drums. And then the blue one, that's the bass. All the red tracks are guitars. We've got rhythm guitars. We've got the clean guitars, which happen at the end of the song. And then we've got the lead guitars, which come come in and out at different sections. Then we've got this synth pad here that comes in during the choruses. And then these white tracks, we've got, these are like special effects. They only happen in the beginning. It's more like sound design, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a moment here. And then lastly, we have these yellow tracks, which are the main vocals and the background vocals. And again, if any of you have questions at any moment, just feel free to ask them, and I'll do my best to answer. All right, so I went ahead and muted these extra sounds. Let's have a listen to the intro without the extra effects added. All right, so it's not bad, and there is an effect on there that's not just a regular guitar. I'm using that telephone effect. Now, again, if you saw the stream I did a couple months ago talking about the song Waiting, I show you how I made that telephone effect. But basically, all you do is you take your sound and you run it through a guitar, like a virtual guitar amp. Usually there's some kind of guitar amp plugin that you can add to your processing, and that will distort the sound, and then you put an EQ on it and you get rid of all the low end, so it sounds very thin, and then you get rid of all the top end, so it's just the mid-range, and that's kind of it kind of makes it sound like it's coming through a small speaker. So when you have that little guitar and then the full band kicks in, you got the two guitars pan left and right, and they got their full range, and then you've got the low end from the bass and the drums and the top end from the cymbals. Once the full band kicks in, then it's like, whoa, you know, this just got like really full. So we got this tiny guitar, you know, just coming through like a little speaker. It's right up the middle if you're listening through headphones, and then it's going to get wide. The full band comes in. You got two guitars panned left and right, and so that contrast is what creates impact. That's what creates power and makes those moments a lot more punchy and impactful. So that's the first thing. But here's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know. When I grew up, you know, there was MTV and, you know, music would come on the radio and that kind of thing. And I actually didn't have we didn't have satellite TV. You know, we only got the local channels. So it was only if I was at a friend's house or if I was on vacation that I ever got to see MTV. But I remember, especially like MTV2, I remember like music videos playing back to back. And I remember the radio, like one song would play and then the next song coming. And a lot of those songs, I don't know, you kind of get used to like what a radio song sounds like or what an MTV song sounds like. And it's sort of drilled into my mind. So a lot of times when I'm playing a song and I'm thinking about the intro, I try to imagine, like, could I imagine this being on MTV? Could I imagine this being on the radio? And so that's kind of what it is. You know, like when the intro's playing, could you imagine, like, you're listening to something something radio, and this is Quincy Kane Plastic Cup. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine hearing that or just seeing like a music video like this intro coming and that song starting? So that was part of it, but in my mind I could hear like it needs something else. And what I could hear in my head was some kind of like record player, like static kind of thing. And it took me a while to look this up. So the program I'm using here, Logic Pro, this is the software I use to edit my audio files and produce them. It comes with a library of different sounds. And it even has like random sound effects. And so I looked through some of those, and I actually did end up using one of them. I'll talk about that in a second. But this radio static sound, I had to look that up. So I just went onto YouTube, and you can just look up sound effects. I looked up radio static or record player static and kind of found a few different videos. And when I found some that I liked, usually online, if you just Google, you can find like YouTube downloader, and you can download the YouTube video, or you can download just the audio from the YouTube video. The audio is all that I need. You get the audio, and then you bring it into your project. So I brought it in. I had to edit, just cut out the bit that I wanted. And so I'll let you listen to. Here's what it sounds like by itself. So this is just some radio static. And that's all it is. And I don't know the exact sound. It almost sounds like I don't know, like a cassette being put in or something, or just some buttons being pressed at the beginning, and then you got that static. So just adding that, it kind of takes you into like, kind of sets a scene, you know, kind of creates more of a visual as the song's about to start. And it works perfectly because you get a little bit of sound just before the guitar kicks in. All right, so that's kind of cool. But then the problem I noticed was, no pun intended, but it's a little static, you know. And what I mean by that is, like, it starts off interesting, but then it's like you're kind of waiting for more to happen. And I wanted to create more anticipation. I wanted to create more tension. And so I was looking through the library sounds of what I had here on Logic Pro, and I found this sound. It's just called Satellite Calling. And it's kind of just a weird, spacey sound, but you'll hear it. It's going to be quiet at first, but it kind of and I had to edit. I added an edit so that it would fade in and gradually get louder, but it sort of makes these like sort of weird, spacey sounds. They get kind of stereo, and it just sort of makes it sound like something's about to happen. So here's what this sounds like. There we go. So, yeah, just a simple like beep sound. So you add those two together. So it's not just the same the whole way through. It's, you know, it's kind of building up some anticipation. So then you add that again one more time. So here's like the intro without that. Whoops, sorry, I forgot to unsolo it. Here we go. Intro without it. You get the idea. And then just by adding some static and that little tension. Like, it's amazing how much more interesting it becomes. And that's the main thing I want to point out is interesting. Like, it might not be much, but it's just enough to hopefully make the listener a little more curious. Like, the beginning, like, maybe they'll hear it, and it's a pretty short intro, so, you know, hopefully that's playing, and they're kind of like, you know, they'll listen for a few seconds to see what they're in for. But just by adding that texture, it just kind of makes you at least a little more curious, like, what's this about to build up to? You know, what's this leading to? And if you can do that, if you can just kind of create interest and intrigue, you need that, you know, like in any art, you know, for music or any kind of art, pretty much the best thing you want to do is just anything you can do just to create a little bit of curiosity or a little bit of intrigue from the listener or the viewer. That's kind of what you want to do. So let me catch up with the chat here, and then we're going to continue. But let's see here. Leo was saying, yeah, and then you run the guitar through a sausage or something. I mean, you could try that. I don't know if that's necessary. Maybe you'll get a neat sound if you did that. Stan was saying, I'm loving this. I can see it helping me with playing a song I'm not familiar with and determining what's okay or not, if that makes sense. No, that does make sense. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully Stan, just as a player, you can kind of hear like when the bass comes in and when it doesn't, and how the roles of each instrument, how they create impact, and by playing together and when they fade out. So I'll keep that in mind, Stan, while you're sticking around. I'll kind of, you know, I'll try to point out what the bass is doing a little bit so you can have a listen to that. And then Leo was asking, or saying, got to make sure it's royalty free though. And yes, that is correct. I do believe a lot of times when you look up the sounds, usually they'll say in the title, like, royalty-free sound. I'm pretty sure this one was. And if not, hopefully, you know, I manipulated it enough. I'm not really too worried about it, you know. But I think it has to be a very distinctive sound if it's going to be an issue. But it's kind of funny. A little story about that. I did a short film years ago called Procrastination. No, not that one. I did that one, but that's not the one I'm talking about. It was called The Initiation. That was the name of it. And I had written music for my short films in the past, but that just takes way too much work. So I was looking for music through some royalty-free sites, and I found this one theme that was like super great, but the way they'll let you hear the theme, but then they'll have this voice say like something music, you know, and it'll say that like every few seconds. And I actually still, like, I you know, I wasn't going to buy the track, so I still downloaded that version, and then I just cut around, like, the voices. I was still able to, like, fit it in and even transition it to fade in at certain parts where you wouldn't really hear the voice. And so I've done some pretty janky stuff just to get a project done in the past, but, you know, that's kind of part of the learning process. Anyway, so that's the intro. And then when it kicks in, this main riff you're hearing is the chorus. So it's kind of like, it's a nice way to start off the song because it sort of gives you like a little taste of what you're in for. You know, you're hearing that, and it's like, whoa, you know, and then, but it's not long. You know, it's not long. It just gives you a little taste. You got that sudden stop, do-do-dum-dum-dum, and then everything gets a little bit smaller. You know, we're in the verse now. And so it's enough to kind of give the listener sort of a taste of what to expect, but then you don't overstay your welcome. You tease them, and then you move on to a new section. So now we get in the verse, and we're going to compare the verses. We've got verse 1 and verse 2, and they're technically the same section. You know, they're both playing, like instrumentally, they're playing the same part for the most part. And then you know, for the most part, they're playing the same part, but for the listener, you got to find ways to sort of distinguish them so they can recognize, oh, this is the second verse, this is the first verse, or there's something. It might be subtle, but there's something where it doesn't sound like just a copy and paste of the same exact thing. Catching up with the chat here. Leo was saying, be baller and put the audio jungle right at the beat drop. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Audio jungle. Yeah, right when it goes in. Yeah, maybe, you know, I haven't had to use that, you know, I haven't had to use too much, music like that in a while, or sound effects like that. Usually I just look for free stuff, whatever I can find. But Stan says, man, your ear details, listen to something for 2 minutes and then take 0.5 seconds to make something greater. Yep. Yeah, that's kind of what I've learned. It's just for a moment, but it makes a big difference. So we're going to look into the verse now. And I see Rebel tuning in, sharing out, just walked in. Hey, Rebel, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much. All right, so let's have a listen to the verse real quick, and we'll dissect what's going on here. Whoop, let me.
I once believed I could be anything. Took a chance and chased a dream, but never realized just how lonely things would be. Now I'm crying.
All right, so here's what we got going on here. So we've got this main guitar riff. I mean, it's pretty simple if you think about it. It's just we got the guitar. You know, that's it. And so the bass is going to follow the root notes. That's all the bass is doing. There, the bass, the do-do-do-do, it's kind of matching the guitar a little bit. So it's mainly emphasizing the root note, and then every now and then it'll kind of match up with the guitar or the rhythm of the drums. And the drums are just providing a backbeat, you know, just a pretty simple beat that goes with the guitar. The kick is matching those changes. Yeah, so everything's just in sync. It's just a nice, you know, yeah, just a nice solid backing track. So on top of that, we've got our main vocal, and we want things to sound small right now. So it's just a single vocal, just one vocal up the middle.
I once believed I could be anything. Took a chance and chased a dream, but never realized just how lonely things would be.
All right, so now technically what's going to happen is it's really just going to repeat that. Like if we just listen to the drums and the bass, focus on the drums and the bass. I'm going to play the vocals, but listen how it goes into this next section. And I kind of consider this a pre-chorus, but it's really not that much different from the verse. So you could still consider this as part of the verse, or you could consider it a pre-chorus.
Believed I could be anything. Took a chance.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead and just listen to the drums and the bass. They kind of keep doing the same thing.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk, with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up.
So they pretty much do the same thing. It's just the ending there where it starts to kind of build up and start to open up a little bit, getting ready for that chorus. So how do we keep that interesting? If we just did the same exact thing that we did in the first verse, it would get kind of redundant. You know, it's good for the first bit, but now we need to add some variation. So you can hear it hasn't drastically changed because the drums and the bass are still doing the same thing. But the first thing we do is that I like to do, you can bring in some lead guitar. So we have this lead guitar part coming in.
Things would be. Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one to clean me up.
So just bringing in some lead guitar, it's a new element. It's something that kind of catches the ear of the listener, and they're like, oh, that's kind of neat, you know? So rather than just hearing more of the same thing, it's something new that kind of comes out of nowhere. Now, one thing I did, whenever I'm trying to write like a guitar melody part, the trickiest thing is making sure that it does not distract from the main melody. So sometimes you can write something that kind of supports or kind of fills in like the space between where the singer isn't singing. But in this case, that was a little tricky. And so if you listen to just the lead guitar and the vocals, you'll notice the lead guitar is following a lot of the same notes that the singer is singing.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor.
That dun bathroom floor dun 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 dun. The guitar kind of follows that.
Like on the bathroom floor like spilled milk.
Like spilled milk dun 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 dun.
Spilled milk with a messy story, just
and messy start dun 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 dun. So the guitar, it's kind of a new part, and it's playing its own thing. It's playing its own rhythm, but it's supporting the melody. It's matching that part. Now I will say, when I was writing this, adding that lead part, it was a little too messy trying to play that over top of the original guitar part. So remember, if you listen to the first guitar, like trying to do that with the lead part on top of it, it was just too messy. So what I ended up doing, you'll hear that the guitar, the rhythm guitar, is going to change to just root notes. It's just going to palm mute the root note. Now, here's what's cool about that. So first off, it's matching the lead guitar. They're both playing that pop, 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 pop kind of rhythm. Also, notice it's matching the bass. Even though the bass is letting the root notes ring out, the guitar is following the same notes and changing at the same time. So you've got that in sync. You've got the lead guitar adding the melody. And then the vocal melody, the notes from the lead guitar are matching the vocal melody, so that's going to fit in.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments.
And then the drums, of course, are just going to keep that backbeat for everything.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one to clean me up.
Now, there's one last thing. All that is already muted myself. Kind of a lot to add a difference, but the vocals are still kind of lonely. And so one thing to sort of change up the vocals a little bit and make it feel like the song is going somewhere is to start bringing in some background vocals. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but let me catch up with the chat here. See some hellos happening. Let's see here. I'm not sure who Rebel's commenting on. Slowest typer known to man. I don't know if you're talking to Stan, waiting for a hello from him, or someone else that you're commenting on. But sounds great to me. Well, thank you, Rebel. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Like that. Your voice sounds great. Raspy. Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely was working hard on the vocals for this song. Hey, we got Ed in the chat, Ed B. Metal. Hope you're doing well. We're just breaking down my latest song that I released, Plastic Cup, and talking about some song arrangements, some important things. And thank you, Rebel, saying awesome. He's great. Well, thank you. And Stan's got his learning mode on. Rebel's listening. Your voice is so wicked there. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, Ed, let me get you up to speed with what's going on here. So, right now I'm talking about how we're each section of the song, we're creating intrigue. So I'll let you have a listen. Here is the first verse. Whoops. Let me get it where you can hear it. Right here.
I once believed I could be anything. Took a chance and chased a dream, but never realized just how lonely things would be.
Okay, so now it's going to continue, but if we just did all of that again, it would be a little redundant. So we don't want to totally change it, and that's not what we're doing. The drums and the bass are actually going to do the same thing, but we've got a lead guitar coming in, so that new element kind of adds like some ear candy to the listener. It brings in a new element, and it makes it feel like the song is actually going somewhere. The other thing is we're going to have some background vocals come in. Let me go ahead and I'm going to play it first without the background vocals, and then I'll let you hear it with them. So here's without.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor.
You can hear that lead guitar coming in.
With a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one there to clean me up.
But we want some background vocals. Now, one thing I actually learned with this song, I've done background vocals before, but I always kind of, I guess my first thought is if I'm going to have harmonies, they're going to sing the whole time. Like, the harmonies would sing the whole time. But what I realized is it actually sounds better just to do a few lines here and there. So if you listen to the harmonies, I'm going to do just the vocals. The harmonies only come in on the first, like every other line. So it's going to come in on the first line and then rest on the next one and then come in on the one after that. So here's the harmonies.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up.
All right. So, yeah, just having those harmonies come in, and they take the voice from sounding kind of just alone by itself, and you might not even notice that there's harmonies in there when you hear it, but it's something that again helps the song just feel like it's actually going somewhere, and it's not just repeating more of the same thing. So here's that section with the harmonies in there.
Things would be. Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up.
All right. And I saw we got a question. Ed was asking, what DAW are you working in? Well, Leo was commenting on this earlier. If it looks old, it's because it is. It's Logic Pro 9. Yeah, basically I got my laptop back in 2012, and I bought Logic Pro 9, and shortly after I bought it, Logic Pro 10 came out, and it wasn't an update. It was like a whole revamp, so you had to buy it. And I had just dropped money on the laptop and on this, so I wasn't going to buy a new recording software. And I've been getting as much use out of it as I can. And over the years, I've made templates, so it's like I don't really want to buy a new, like I've got a system working with this, so I don't really want to buy a new DAW yet. At some point, I'm going to have to pull the trigger on it. At some point, I'm going to have to, I think I was combining pull the trigger and bite the bullet. But anyways, at some point, I am going to have to update, but I'm trying to get as much longevity out of this as I can, and I'll deal with that when I have to. It's more so the headache and the inconvenience of having to do it rather than, wanting to. Like I could buy, it's not a money issue, it's a convenience issue. So, all right, let's see here. But yeah, Ed, thanks for your question. If anyone else, if you ever have any questions, feel free. Ask your questions at any moment. I'll do my best to answer them. Let's see here, just catching up with the chat. Very cool, man. Sounding good, what I can hear so far. Well, thank you. That's the part. Yeah, thanks, Rebel. Yes, exactly. You don't notice the harmonies when you listen to the complete mix. Yeah, it's kind of just a little something there to support, but it's not like super obvious. Love that. Well, thank you. Stan says, not the best typer, and my voice doesn't do well with the voice recognition thing. That's all right, Stan. I'm sure these streams have been good for your typing. I think you've gotten better over the streams. Hey man, if it works for you, no need to upgrade. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. The funny thing is, like, no one sees it. All that matters is the end result. How the song sounds. Don't fix what's not broken. Yep, I agree with you. That's great advice. Yep, I agree. Yep, good advice, Ed. All right, so that's verse 1. But let's listen. And in fact, I'm actually going to challenge you guys. I tell you what, I'm going to play the verse one more time. I know we're listening to it a lot. But after the verse, I'm going to play verse 2. And you guys can even comment, what do you notice different about verse 2? So here's verse 1.
I once believed I could be anything. Took a chance and chased a dream, but never realized just how lonely things would be. Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk, with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up.
All right, so that's verse 1. Now let's go to verse 2. So it's basically the same section, but there's a few things in there just to distinguish it from the first verse. So I'd be curious if you guys can kind of notice and sort of comment what you hear differently. Let me see if I can find it. All right, here it comes, right here.
And here I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things. Every effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone who can lend a hand and pull me from this garbage can.
All right, so I'll give you guys a second, but what did y'all notice different? Could you hear something different? Something is missing. I don't know if... Not sure what you were mentioning. I mean, everything was there. Love your voice there. Yeah, thank you. Yep, let me know if you notice anything different about those two sections from verse 2. I'm going to point them out in just a moment here, but I'm just kind of curious. Guitar is holding out. Yep, Stan's right. I think I hear an extra guitar layer in the second verse. Yes, there is an extra guitar layer. Both of you caught that. And Stan's right. It's holding out. It's sort of sustaining some notes. And I'm going to point that out. And if anyone noticed anything else, I'd be curious. But I'll go ahead and I'll break that down a little bit for you all. Excuse me. Yes. All right. So here is what happens in verse 2. Here's some of the differences. So let me mute the lead guitar, because you're right. There is a lead guitar that comes in. Let's see. Sorry, that's the chorus. We're going to look at the choruses in a little bit. All right, so if I mute the lead guitar and I were to play it, it's not going to sound much different from the first verse.
And here I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things.
Okay, so that's a good foundation, but the only problem is that's where you run into danger of copy and paste. Like, that sounds just like the first verse. And again, we want the song to feel like it's going somewhere. So how do we do that? How do we create a little more intrigue? So again, one of the first things you can go to is just adding another instrument layer. Again, adding some ear candy. And so what I did in this case, I was like, well, let me see if I can add like a guitar part. And I came up with this idea to accent the vocals. So the vocals say, and here I'm trying once again. So those notes, da-da-dum. And I was like, maybe I can accent that with the lead guitar. So I'm going to play just the vocal in the lead guitar, and that's what I end up doing. I'm hitting those notes, dun-dun-dun, and I just let them ring out. And what's kind of cool is I pan that to one side, and then the other side, like litter trapped inside the wind, those two notes, dun-dun-dun, I have the other guitar play that, and I pan it to the other side. So especially if you're listening in headphones, you'll hear it go left and right.
And here I'm trying once again.
Whoops, helps. Let me get the lead guitar in there, sorry. Here I'm trying once again.
I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things.
Okay, so it's kind of cool. It creates some tension too because the notes da na na da na na, they're right next to each other, so they kind of clash. They kind of create some dissonance and build some tension. So here's just the lead guitar by itself. So again, that's something I really like to do. I like to like it's cool to come up with like a separate part, but a lot of times if you can listen to the main melody and sort of pick out notes from the melody to write other layers, write other parts, that's like a surefire way to make sure that it actually fits in and supports the song and isn't going to be too distracting or pull away from another part. So yeah, so here it is again with the guitars in there.
Trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things.
So that's one thing, and then I saw a comment, and Ed, you are right, there are more harmonies in there. So more vocal harmonies, that's correct, yep. Listening on my tablet speakers doesn't help. yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you're probably not going to notice it as much listening on a tablet or a phone or anything, but no worries. You might just have to enjoy the song later in some headphones. Okay, but you were right. You said there was another harmony in there, so I'm going to play the vocals again. And again, this was kind of interesting to me because when I was first writing this, I was thinking, okay, does it need harmonies like the whole time? And what I realized is, no, you don't. Like sometimes just having a harmony come in like just for a single line, like that can do so much. And that's all that happens. The whole verse is the same. It's just the second line that has harmony. And for whatever reason, that just felt right. And it felt like enough to distinguish it without being too much and too distracting. So here's the vocals by themselves.
And here I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things.
And it's amazing how, like, it's just one harmony that comes in for one line, but it does a lot to just kind of separate it from the first verse. So here it is again.
And here I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things.
And again, like, you know, I've done songs before, and usually I feel like, okay, if there's going to be harmony, it's going to sing during the whole section. But listening again, like I've been listening to some other songs and noticing, like, no, that's not always the case. Sometimes they just have a harmony come in for just a single line, and it's amazing how much it adds. Now, the second bit of the verse, or if you want to call this pre-chorus too, is mostly the same. I'm going to mute the drums. You might have noticed the drums are different in the next part, but I think everything else is the same. I think the bass, the rhythm guitar, I think the lead guitar, and even the vocals and the harmonies, because again, remember the first time those harmonies came in and they were singing every other line. I think that's what's happening here. So let's listen without the drums, and I think it's going to be the same.
Effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone who can lend a hand and pull me from this garbage can.
Yeah, if you compare that to verse 1, aside from the lyrics being different, it sounds pretty much the same, but there's one thing that makes a huge difference, and it's the drum beat. And I'll give you a little refresher. Here was the drum beat the first time during that section.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk.
You know, just a simple hi-hat beat. But listen to it here. All right, right here.
Every effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone.
So got like a tom beat, a little bit of a jungle beat kind of thing. And I like it. It kind of, it's a different beat, and so it kind of gives a different mood to it. Again, it makes the song feel like it's going somewhere, kind of adds some intensity to it, which really helps it build up for that second chorus that's going to happen. So that's sort of some that you'll hear that everywhere. If next time you listen to like a professional song, listen to the first verse and listen to the second verse and try to notice like the differences. You'll notice they're very similar, but there's going to be like a few little things that kind of differentiate them from each other. And it's always kind of neat to sort of hear that. So if you're ever producing your own songs, then it's definitely kind of nice to keep those tactics in mind. Like when you're writing the song, just like, okay, what can I do to make this different? And I don't know, it's fun too. It's very satisfying to sort of come up with those things. We got Silas in the chat. Hey, Silas, hope you're doing well. We got Eddie in the chat as well. Hey, let me catch up here. Let's see. And we got Jack. Hey, Jack, hope you're doing well. Yep, Jack, hope you are doing good. Hope you've had a good week. Yeah, we're just breaking down Plastic Cup. Stan was saying, that's why we get hungry watching you. Candy pans, yeah. Yeah, ear candy. That I've heard that term, just kind of making it. Yeah, sorry if I'm making you all hungry. I know some of you might be having dinner right now. If you're having dinner, let me know what's on the menu for tonight. Rebel says BRB. I certainly hope you come back. Silas, I hope you're doing well. Let me know if anything fun or eventful has happened lately. Eddie saying, what's good, Q? Things are good. Again, if you hadn't seen already, I did release my song Plastic Cup earlier this week. It's currently available on Spotify. You can download it for free from Bandcamp if you'd like. And it's currently distributing to other platforms as well, so it should be available on all streaming platforms at some point. And I put out just a simple track video on Monday. So if you guys could watch that video later, comment on it and like it, I would appreciate that. And there's going to be more video content coming on this song. There is going to be a music video coming later. There's going to be a lyric video coming in a couple weeks, and I will be releasing a stripped down version later. So definitely more stuff to come. But the song is available, and we're just kind of breaking it down right now. I'm kind of talking a lot about song arrangement and what professional songs do that make them sound professional and keep them engaging. And it might not be what you think. Like, yes, it is important to learn like how to produce songs and learning about gear and all that stuff, but a big part of it is just song arrangement. So I'll kind of get you guys up to speed, and we're actually going to look at the choruses in a moment here, and that's going to be fun too. So thank you. Silas saying, glad it's released. Plastic Cup is awesome on recording. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Hey, we got Lady C in the chat. Hey, Lady C, hope you're doing well. And at any point, if any of you guys have questions about the song, about song arrangement, about songwriting, anything like that, feel free to ask questions. So I'll get you all up to speed real quick. Here's what we've listened to so far. We're talking about what the pros do to make their song sound good. So the first thing is creating intrigue, trying to make the listener at least curious to hear what's going to happen. So in the intro, we've got a very small guitar. It kind of sounds like it's coming through a telephone speaker. And we've got some static and a little bit of like noise, this like beeping siren noise kind of thing that it's a satellite noise that's kind of building, creating tension. And then when it kicks in, you've got that small little guitar, and then the full band comes in. And it's this big, impactful intro. So here's the intro. So that intro, that's actually the chorus. Of course, there's no vocals there, but it's a little taste of the chorus. So it's kind of building some intrigue, some curiosity. Bam, hits you with this big, chorus riff, and then like gives you a little sample of it, a little teaser of it, and then we go into the verse. So we go from big, and then we're containing it again. So we were talking about the verses here. So in this first verse, we've got just the main instruments, just the guitar, the bass, and the drums. Everything's kind of suppressed. And as the verse continues, rather than doing more of the same thing, we want it to feel like the song is going somewhere. So you're going to hear a lead guitar pop up that kind of adds some ear candy. I'm saying that. Kind of, it's a new element that catches the listener's attention. Like, oh, the song is going somewhere. It's not just more of the same thing. And then we've got some backup harmonies. They kind of serve the same purpose of just kind of helping the song feel like it's building up to something.
Once believed I could be anything. Took a chance and chased a dream, but never realized just how low
lead guitar and harmonies.
Now I'm crying on the bathroom floor like spilled milk, with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up.
All right, and then the other thing, we actually skipped the chorus. We're about to look at the chorus, but we went to verse 2. And in verse 2, you don't just want to do the same exact thing that you did in verse 1, because that kind of, the listener's already heard that. It kind of feels like copy and paste. It just feels like they're hearing what they've already heard. So you want it to sound like the verse. You want it to have the same chord movements and melodies, but you want to add a little bit of intrigue. So what we added in the next verse, there's another lead guitar, and it's matching the notes of the melody, and it's kind of letting those notes ring out. It's sort of creating some tension. And then there's a line that a harmony comes in. And again, I was talking about how the neat thing about harmony is you don't have to harmonize for a whole section. You can just come in and harmonize a line here and there. And so that's what we get in this verse 2 here.
And here I'm trying once again.
There's the lead guitar.
Like glitter trapped inside.
There's the harmony.
Still believing I can get a hold of things.
So it's similar enough to be familiar, but there's enough difference in there to distinguish it from the first verse. And then the second half is actually pretty much the same as the first, but the drum beat changes. Now, instead of just a straight-up hi-hat beat, it's kind of more of a tom beat thing.
Every effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone who can lend a hand and pull me from this garbage can.
All right, so those are the verses. Now we're going to talk about the choruses. So this song has 3 choruses. And again, if you listen to a lot of professional songs, hey, we got Daniel in the chat. Hey, Daniel, hope you're doing well. At work, stopping by for a bit. Well, glad you're stopping by. If you ever have any questions, let me know. We're just kind of breaking down the song. We're about to talk about the choruses. If you ever listen to any professional songs, one thing you'll really notice is most of the time they're going to have 3 choruses. They got the first chorus, second chorus, third chorus. And even though the choruses have the same lyrics, usually, and the same melody, they're always a little different. They're never exactly the same. And so I'm going to try to point that out with this song. I'm going to show you how each song is similar, but each chorus is similar, but they have certain things about them that that distinguish them from one another. So let's talk about the first chorus. So again, we're creating interest. We're building up to something, and so now we're getting to the chorus. We want it to hit hard, but we don't. How do I say this? We're still kind of teasing the listener a little bit. Like, we definitely want some payoff. We want the chorus to be satisfying, but we want to leave them wanting more. That's what we want to do. We want to kind of give them something that sounds good and then leave them wanting more. So I'm going to let you listen to it and then talk about kind of what I'm doing to hopefully have that effect. So coming out of the verse, whoops, let me go back a little bit. Got to go back further. Here we go.
Just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. And for now, all that's filled me up, still tossed away like a plastic cube.
All right, so let's break down what's happening there. So we're getting to the chorus, and really all it is, we've just got our main drum beat. So right here. Okay, we've got our bass. And the bass and the rhythm guitar, the bass, the rhythm guitar, and the drums are all just kind of stitching together to create this like big punchy wall of sound. And then I like to add some pad here. This is a synth pad, and it just adds a little bit of air and a little bit of texture on the top of everything. I'll let you hear what it sounds like by itself. And so I'll kind of turn it on and off, and you can hear what that's adding. It just kind of adds some top end to it. It's pretty subtle. Like, you don't notice it when it's there, but when you cut it off, it's like, whoa, something's missing now. So it does add a lot. And then for the vocals, I knew I was going to have background vocals, but I'm trying not to give all the goods away just yet. So there's some harmonies, but they're kind of following what we've established already. First off, the first harmonies were mono, like they were straight up the middle. Now these harmonies are pan left and right, so we've got more harmonies in. We've got a lower octave, so we've got like more layered vocals, I think some doubled vocals. So yeah, I'll play the vocals by themselves, and you'll hear that there's a little more going on with the vocals just to kind of thicken them up and give them more fullness and a little more excitement.
No one here to clean me up.
So they're gonna get wider.
With someone, just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I pour down all that's filled me up, still and tossed away like a plastic.
And then that ending, so there's a few things we did here. So that's the sound, but it's also a pretty short chorus. Like, I'm not repeating the chorus, I'm just doing it once. And you'll notice that in a lot of songs, usually the first chorus is shorter than the other courses in the song. And it's a really good technique because it kind of gives everyone a taste of it, but then like it ends and it's like, oh, I was enjoying that, And so they got to wait for it to come back, But what's kind of cool is the ending here. I actually like the heavy vocals because, again, it's sort of a little unexpected almost. It's something like really heavy, kind of has a little bit of that shock value, but it's also kind of a teaser of what's to come later. The song's going to have a pretty heavy breakdown, and so those vocals kind of establish like, oh, the song is going to get heavy, at some parts. So here's the chorus again. Whoops, let me unmute it.
Clean me up with someone, just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I pour down all that's filled me up, still and tossed away like a plastic cube.
And then that little transition there, that's kind of interesting. So if you just listen to the music, it's actually very similar to the intro of the song. Like, it's got that pause, bump, do-do-dum-dum-dum-dum. But instead of going right into the verse, it's playing the verse rhythm, but it's more of the verse riff, but it's a slightly different rhythm. It's kind of, instead of that 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, pop, boom, 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 pop. It's kind of a more of a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's kind of really accenting the movement of the notes, and it's playing it a bit more open. It's not palm muting everything. So. So you can hear the difference there. It's the same noting, but the first time it's more open. It's kind of playing that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it closes. It goes back to the palm mutes, and it sounds a bit more contained. So that kind of transitions nicely into the next verse. Let's catch up with the chat here. Let's see here. Some hellos happening. Daniel's having a sandwich. What kind of sandwich are you enjoying right now? Silas saying, sure like yell at the course. Sure like to yell at the course. Yep. Yep, there is a bit of yelling in the course. Yep. Like a plastic cup. That's right. Just taking notes. Yep, that's what Stan says. Lady C says, I'm not in a place where I can be quite this intentional, but it's cool how much thought you put into all of this, Quincy. Well, that's quite all right. Again, if there's anything here that, those of you who make your own music, if there's anything here that kind of gives you some tips or some ideas of what you can do with your own music, that's great. But if you just want to enjoy, even for me, like I always love learning this stuff, but like I love movies, and for me it's the same thing. I like sharing this stuff because I love seeing how people make stuff. So like when someone's making movies, I like seeing the behind the scenes and how they made it. Not necessarily because I intend to do the exact same thing myself, but it's just kind of cool to see people's process. So hopefully, even if it's not something that you can use, hopefully there's a few things here, but even if it's just something just to enjoy the process of it, then you're certainly welcome to enjoy it. And again, if you have any questions of something you're trying to learn or just something out of curiosity, feel free to ask them. Daniel is rocking a lemon chicken and Colby Jack. That actually sounds pretty good. That sounds like a good sandwich there. Making me hungry. All right. So that's the first course. So again, I think of the first course. I actually have notes here. Let me read this real quick. So I think of the first course as impactful, but it's just a sample of what's to come. It's not the whole course yet. Now, course 2, I consider this the real course. Like if we're talking about what's the course of the song, it's actually course 2. This is where all the goods are. You know, it's got all the layers. It's going to repeat twice, so it's a little bit longer. This is the real course. And then course 3, it's the same length as course 2, but it's got some variations to distinguish it and make it sound more like a finale, make it sound more like the song is coming to an end. So let's take what we heard in course 1. And again, I'm going to ask you guys again. So you just heard course 1. I'm going to skip ahead to course 2 and have a listen and let me know what differences you notice. Let me see. Let me unmute the vocals. All right, here we go. So here comes course 2, and let me know what differences you notice comparing this to the first course. Here it comes. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just a moment, but what differences did you notice? That was the second course. What differences did you notice between that, comparing it to the first course? Again, you can hear it's the same melody, same lyrics, same chords, but there was a few things that kind of make it a little different. Again, it's got all the goods. The first course was kind of withholding some of the things that would later come that now you're hearing in the second course. So I'd be curious what to hear of that. Hey, Silas says, I had a birthday party on Sunday. That's right. I think I remember you saying your birthday was coming up. Awesome. Happy birthday, Silas. I hope you had a good one, man. Hope it went well. If you got any cool presents or anything, let me know. Let me know if there's anything fun or any special desserts or anything. But that's awesome. Glad you had a good birthday, hopefully. Stan was saying... Smash burgers got rained out. My wife stepped in with chicken Alfredo. Too bad about the burgers, but chicken Alfredo sounds pretty good as well. Silas was saying, I had some friends over. We had pizza, played games, and I also had practice for a few band stuff. Awesome. Sounds like it went good. And then, all dang, Stan. Well, at least you had some good food still. So, yep, some good stuff to fall back on. All right. So, again, if y'all noticed any differences, let me know, but I'll go ahead and point them out. So the first one is there is a lead guitar layer. So again, I'll kind of go back and play that. Let's mute the lead guitar layer. Yeah, that's it right there. So not drastically different from the first one, but now I add this lead guitar in there. And again, I love adding lead guitars to choruses, but sometimes it can be tricky, especially, it just depends on the song. But the more complicated your riffs are or your chords are in the song, the trickier it can be to add a lead part that isn't disrupting the melody of the vocal. I think when I was writing this, I was having so much trouble. I would write stuff and be like, man, that sounds cool. And then I'd blend it with the vocal, and it was just too messy. It was too much going on. So I'm sort of using the same technique I used earlier. The way I wrote this lead guitar part, I'm actually using a lot of the same notes in the melody. Now, the melody doesn't sing the whole time. The melody just goes, would someone just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. There's a few breaks in there. but the lead guitar, it needed some kind of consistent rhythm. So all I did was I just matched the same notes as the melody and then just add a few extra notes in there to fill in the places where the melody isn't singing. So let me play the lead guitar with the vocal melody, and you can hear how they kind of blend in. They're matching a lot of the same notes.
Garbage can with someone, just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I poured out all that's filled me up, still I'm tossed away like a plastic cup with someone.
So again, whenever you have instruments like layers and they're matching the same notes, that's a good recipe for making sure that they're going to fit together and they're not going to be clashing in any awkward way or anything that's creating a big mess. And I'm going to go ahead and play that chorus again, and I'm just going to kind of turn on and off the lead guitar. And it's amazing how much energy lead guitar adds to a section. So you'll hear it when it's there and when it's gone. Whoops, let me get that. There you go.
With someone, just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I poured out all that's filled me up, still I'm tossed away.
So hopefully you can hear as you're turning it on and off, it's like, oh wow, that's really, it brings like some excitement. And again, that lead guitar, it's an element that was not there in the first chorus. And it doesn't completely change the chorus, but it kind of reinforces it. It's just, again, it's matching the melody of the main vocal, but it's a new element that wasn't there before. So it helps the song feel like it's going somewhere and it's growing and it's continuing to get bigger, and it kind of keeps it interesting rather than feeling like you're just hearing more of the same thing over and over again. So that's that. And then the second thing that happens is the chorus repeats. Now, when you repeat a chorus, the danger is if you do it exactly the same way, again, you kind of run the risk of, all right, now it's starting to sound redundant. So how do we do the chorus again, but make it sound a little different without it sounding completely different? You don't want to, you don't want to write like new chords or anything. Like the foundation is still there. It's still obviously the chorus. It's still recognizable as the chorus, but what can we do to make it interesting? Well, one, we've got that pause in there when we repeat it. So the pause just kind of like creates a moment of like, I don't know, just it creates a moment of impact, so. And that pause, technically the first chorus did a pause also. The only difference is after the pause, it went into the dum-dum-dum-dum and transitioned back into the verse. So here we're having that pause again, but then we're just repeating the chorus rather than going into the verse again. So we still have that pause, and then when it kicks back in, again, we have a chance for a little more impact there. But what's going to be different is the harmonies are going to start building up. Everything's the same, but we're going to have more harmonies now. So focus on the harmonies in the second part. I'm going to play a little bit of the first part. Focus on the harmonies. All right, so the funny thing about this, I'm going to play just the harmonies real quick. So the first time, the harmonies were just singing every other line. They were singing, with someone, and tell me I've poured out. That's all they were doing. They were just singing every other line. But now they're going to sing the whole time. And the harmonies I'm using here, I don't know what the exact term is. I always call these fifth harmonies. So again, for any guitarists out there, it's kind of like playing a power chord. So if the root note is the melody, that power chord, that fifth note, that's what the harmony's doing. And it's such a cool harmony. It's one of my favorite harmonies, and anytime it sounds good, I will almost always use this type of harmony. I don't know, I just love the way it sounds. So I'm going to play the vocals by themselves so we can hear what the harmony's doing.
All that's filled me up, still I'm tossed away like a
Right here.
plastic cup with someone. Just show me some love and tell me that I am good enough. I've poured out all that's filled me up, still I'm tossed away.
So those lower notes, Would someone just show me some love? That part. It's matching the same movement. Show me some love. It's a half step down, da da, and that's what the harmony's doing, da da, but on a different note. And it's such a cool sound. I always love the way that sounds. The funny thing about this song, I love those harmonies, and it was so hard for me not to do that all the time at every course. Like when I was first, I wasn't sure exactly how the harmonies were going to be arranged. And when I was first working on the song, I was thinking the harmonies were going to do that the whole time. But I realized, like, no, if I really want that to stick out, if I really want that to be special, it's got to happen less often. And that's one thing I've learned as an artist. I think that's a really important thing as a songwriter. Sometimes there's going to be parts you love, and you're going to be tempted to want to repeat those parts or do them all the time. But what makes it special and what gives your song that replay value is by not doing it all the time. Because think about it, like if it only does those harmonies at just a few parts, as a listener, to me, like when I hear a song and it only does that, it's got that like one little part, like, oh, I love that part. I have to listen to the song again just to hear that part. And that's kind of what you want. You want to leave your audience or your listeners wanting more. And if you're always just sort of overstaying your welcome, if you're kind of indulging in all the good stuff, they might like it at first, but after a while, by the end of the song, they're like, okay, I think I'm satisfied, like I don't need any more of that. But if you just if you learn, like less is more, if you learn just to use it sparingly, then it makes it more special and it kind of gives the song more replay value. And I'm saying that, even as just a listener, like when I'm hearing music, that's something I notice about like really good songs. Let me catch up with the chat here. Daniel saying, have to get back to work. Y'all have a good night. Daniel, I appreciate you stopping by for a little bit. Definitely check out the song in the video. And, if you can like it and comment it, I definitely appreciate that. But I hope you have a good rest of your shift at work and appreciate you stopping by. Silas was saying on the 8th, which is the 8th, which is my actual birthday, my parents got me a TV for my room, and they took me to Wendy's, and to Guitar Center, and I got a new guitar stand and tried out some guitars there. Awesome. Well, that sounds like a good trip. Again, I had a pretty good birthday several years ago when my dad took me to Guitar Center. Some of you know that story when I got my first guitar. So awesome. That sounds like a good birthday. So yeah, and again, I sort of think of the second course as the real course. It's like, this is everything, you're hearing the chorus twice, you're hearing all the layers, it's all the good stuff, and again, you kind of like want to keep the audience surprised, so you've got that guitar part that comes in, so that sounds good, and then when the chorus repeats, then those new harmony parts come in, and so it's like, man, this just keeps growing, it just keeps getting better and better, that's sort of the impact that you're trying to create. Now let's look at the final course. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Okay, I think it's right here. So this is the final course, and what we've done two. Like we've made a distinguishment between the first course and the second course, but now we have the third course. What do we do this time? So I'm going to go ahead and play it, and you guys can sort of comment. Let me know what you notice that's different about this third course compared to the first course and the second course. So here we go, third course. All right, so I'll give you guys just a moment to sort of comment on what differences you might have noticed, but I'm going to break them down in just a moment here. And again, for anyone just tuning in, don't be shy, say hello. This is my latest release, my song Plastic Cup. We're just kind of breaking it down and talking about what went into the arrangement. And so, yeah, the song is available now on Spotify, and it's currently distributing to some other places. I don't know if it's available everywhere yet, but it will be. Excuse me. And I just posted a video on Monday. So, yeah, if you guys could definitely check out the video and be sure to comment on it and like it, I certainly would appreciate that. And definitely sharing the song, so more people can hear it. I appreciate that. Silas was saying, I tried out a Schecter, Quincy. What did you think? You know, was it a good one? Of course, you want to make sure it's in tune and stuff. And there's a lot of different Schecters, but for the most part, I am a fan of Schecters. I quite like them, so I'd be curious how you felt about it. All right, so I don't know if y'all noticed any differences, but the first thing is going into it, you know. Part of this is, before this, we've got the bridge of the song, which is also like this big, heavy breakdown. So we've got this big section. It's really hard to go from one big section to another big section. So you need just a moment of release. You know, you need to make things small again so that you can have that impact. You know, if you're always trying to make the song big the whole way through, then nothing's going to be big. You need that dynamic contrast. So if everything's big, nothing's big. So the first thing we do here is when we go into it, we've got like a little bit of an intro into the chorus, and we're making it small before it kicks in, sounding nice and big. So here's the first part. So what are we doing here? So first off, I'm trying to think where to even start. Let me mute the vocals. Let's just listen to the music. So what we're doing here, we've got two parts. We have that lead guitar, and we have the rhythm guitar, but we don't have all of them. We just have one rhythm guitar, and it's panned to the left, and one lead guitar that's panned to the right. So it kind of sounds smaller. We don't have the bass in there. The bass is muted. The drums don't come in just yet. They come in the second part, and they do that fill, that you know, so. And then when it kicks in, the bass is going to come in, and then the other rhythm guitar and the other lead guitar is going to come in, and the synth is going to come in, making it sound really big. So, yeah, listen to when it kicks in. So it kind of starts small, like creates some space, and then kicks in and has that punch. Yeah, so it's almost like kind of creates some space, sort of sounds a little empty, a little small, and then everything else comes in and it gives it that fullness. The other thing we're doing, we're using that telephone technique again. I talked about this earlier, making it sound like it's coming through a small speaker. That's what we're doing with the vocals. The vocals, they're singing the same line with someone to show me some love, but no harmonies, no background vocals. It's just a single vocal, and it's going through that telephone filter to make it sound really small.
And tell me that I am good in.
And you can hear the difference. So it does that for the first part, and then when the chorus kicks in, all the music kicks in, then the real voice returns. We're done with the telephone effect, and you can hear the difference. The telephone, you know, it sounds distorted, sounds kind of small, and then the full voice has so much, so much more fullness, you know, so much more body to it compared to the little tiny speaker voice.
And tell me that I am good enough.
Okay, so, and then of course we're going to have those harmonies come in. So that's the first difference. We create like a little intro for it. Once it kicks in, it's kind of just like the second chorus, but it's like the second half of the second chorus. So remember those harmonies I was talking about that come in the second time? Now those harmonies are back. So you'll hear those fifth harmonies that I was talking about. Listen to the harmonies.
Tell me that I am good enough. Before now, promise fill me up, still and tossed away.
All right, so I'm going to mute the vocals. So there's a few things happening here. The chorus is going to repeat, but we just had a pause, or, you know, we had that little intermission with the tiny guitar, and then it kicks in. So the other choruses have always stopped. This chorus isn't going to do that. It's the big finale. So rather than stopping, we're going to add that drum fill, that same fill, that and then the lead guitar is going to switch over to a guitar solo. Now, it's not much of a guitar solo. It's kind of just this weird chord thing. Like, I guess it's a solo, but it's not like a shreddy solo. It's just meant to create like some dissonant, like weird chords stuff. It's supposed to be kind of like messy sounding. So have a listen to the music, and when the chorus repeats, hear how it sort of continues, but that new guitar part comes in. So it's going to repeat. So again, like that guitar part, it's kind of just, it's creating some chords that are very like dissonant and kind of creating like some tension and some just adding some intensity to it. I had a word, I lost it, but there's like some distress to it. That's kind of the word I'm looking for. It kind of brings in some cool distress. And then notice the ending. All the other courses, they've always stopped. Bum. But this is like the big finale, so we have the drums kind of do this one final boom, you know, and then everything rings out and those chords just hold out. Also notice when that solo comes in, I kind of slide first, you know, adding some texture, kind of like saying like a hey, you know, here again, kind of catching the ear of the listener, like something's about to come, and then bam, it kicks in. You know? And they just ring out. We're going to talk about that outro later. There's a little more to it. I muted the clean guitars, but you can hear, yeah, it just kind of rings out. And then there's one final verse. The outro, it's technically a verse 3, if you want to call it that, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the last thing, you'll hear this in a lot of popular songs, but the first part of the chorus, they just sing it like normal, and then usually there will be some vocal runs or vocal variations. So rather than just singing it normal, I sing that line, still I'm tossed away, and instead of holding it out, I kind of go up, still I'm tossed away, and then I sing, like a plastic cup. So there's some vocal variations happening there, and I'm still singing the lyrics of the chorus, but I'm singing them differently than I've sang them before. Comes the vocal. Like a plastic cup. And I actually still have some doubles there. Like if you just listen to the vocal. 1 second, let me bring it up. Like a plastic cup. So that's the main vocal, but then I've got these background vocals that are singing an octave lower. I've got one, it's actually singing the same thing, it's doubling it, it's just turned down a little quiet, and then another one singing the same thing but an octave lower. Like a plastic cup. It just kind of adds a little fullness to the voice, and you know, not making it sound so empty, because that single voice is having to compete with the whole band, you know, so kind of those background vocals. Like a plastic cup. Those are the background vocals, so they do a lot to kind of reinforce the main vocal. So cool. So yeah, so you can hear how you can clearly tell it's the same as the other parts. It's the course of the song, but there's those variations that keep it interesting and help the song feel like it was actually going somewhere, and it's not just repeating the same parts over and over again, doing them exactly the same way. Let me catch up with the chat here. Stan was saying, I understand, Quincy. I love to double up on bass and drive the song, yet less is more at times. It's funny because in the beginning, I wanted to be as low-key as possible. Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. Like, the bass has huge impact. Again, listen to when that kicks in. Focus on the bass here. Whoops, getting a little laggy on me. There's no bass at first, and then when the bass kicks in, right here. And if we play, you know, let's just do like the drums and the bass. We'll do the rhythm guitar also. So, but yeah, just kind of listen how it gets small. Hear that driving bass. Boom, 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 boom. But what creates that impact, you know, the bassist knowing to stop. Like, that's what makes it hit hard, you know? So learning to have those pauses in there, it's super important. For all musicians to know that, and especially as a songwriter. And that's the thing, you just got to remember you're serving the song. And I think for me, like, being a songwriter really helps. How do I say this? You know, as I just want, like, I want the song to sound good, and I know what helps the song to sound good. So it's not an ego thing, like, oh, I got to play all the time. Like, I don't mind not playing, you know, if that's what sounds better. Like, if I have to rest for a moment, like, stop playing so that the song can kind of build up or have a rest for a moment and then come in. Like, if that's what sounds best for the song, I'm okay with doing that, because it's going to sound so good when everything kicks in. So, yeah, that's good, Stan. It's good that you understand that. All right, there we go. Those are the 3 courses. We got just a couple other sections we're going to look at, and then we're going to wrap things up. So again, guys, this is the song Plastic Cup. I just released it, and it's currently available on Spotify, and you can download it for free from my Bandcamp. And it is also I just posted a video on YouTube this Monday, so definitely be sure to check that out, like it, and comment it. I'm going to post another link here, but just a reminder, you know, if you're enjoying these streams and you want to help me to keep making more music, if you like the songs I'm putting out and you want to get more songs, you know, I could definitely use your support. And so I'm going to post a link for you guys, and I'll go ahead and pin it as well. But in this link, you'll be able to listen to my music. It'll take you to Spotify, where you can listen to the new song. You can also watch the video. If you go to the link, it'll say the latest release, and you'll be able to see the video that I posted. And it'll also give you some other ways to support me. It'll take you to the Bandcamp, where you can download the song for free. Or if you feel like you know, showing some support, you can purchase the song as well at whatever price you'd like to. But yeah, the most important thing, though, is just sharing it. So you can find that link. That'll take you where my music is. And if you could just share it so other people can hear it, and if you could just engage with the songs that I put out, engage with the videos, leaving comments and liking the video, all that stuff just really helps to support it. And so I definitely appreciate that. All right, the next section we're going to look at the bridge of the song. So this is happening after Course 2. So after Course 2... actually, I tell you what, let's look at the outro first. So this final course, we heard that it kind of faded out. I'll play that one more time. It's like this big finale, you know, it's all really intense, and then finally, boom, just kind of releases on that last note. Okay, so we have that final release. But the funny thing is, I could kind of sense I wanted something else. It was a combination. I think the demo had an outro. Like, when I first wrote a demo for this song, it was a much shorter version, but I kind of had this outro that I liked. And also, thematically with the song, I wanted one final lyric, because I do like the song. It expresses what it's like to kind of deal with loneliness, and it expresses that frustration of feeling like, you know, you're working hard and doing all you can, but there doesn't seem to be anyone who understands you or gets you, and it can be a very lonely place, and it's sort of expressing that frustration. But I like to have a positive message. I like to acknowledge, like, the challenging parts of life, but I also like to have a positive message. And so if you listen to the lyrics, they're gradually getting more and more optimistic. You know, they start out like, you know, saying, I'm crying on the bathroom floor, like spilled milk with a messy story, just moments till I self-destruct with no one here to clean me up. But then in verse 2, it says, here I'm trying once again, like litter trapped inside the wind, still believing I can get a hold of things. So it's like, still kind of hurting, but trying, you know, not giving up. Every effort leads to new mistakes, and I crawl back to the same old place. I need someone who can lend a hand and pull me from this garbage can. So again, it's still trying, still making an effort, but with not much success. And then later you'll see in the bridge says, in spite of how much it hurts, there's something inside of me, and I know it's more than just debris. And so it's kind of like there's a reason I'm fighting for this. There's a reason I'm still going at it, because there's something inside of me, and it's not. It is worth something. It isn't just something to be tossed away like a plastic cup. It's something more valuable than that. And so the final lyrics of the song, the ending, I kind of wanted to end with like one last little like moral of the story, I guess, kind of thing you could say. So we've got these clean guitars come in, and again, technically this is like a verse 3, so it's sort of like the same thing as the other verses. It's just softer. The drums aren't doing as much. The bass is a little more reserved, and we have clean guitars instead of the distorted guitars. And the vocals have a slight variation just to sound more resolved at the ending. But for the most part, it's just like the verses. It's very similar to something we've heard before, but we're hearing it in a different way. It's softer. So let's listen to the outro of the song. All right, here it comes right here.
I know you feel like a piece of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, 'cause to me, you're treasure.
All right, so there's a bit to unpack there. So for the music first, the main thing that takes over is these clean guitars. And they're not truly clean guitars. They still have some grit to them. So it's playing the same thing that the verses were playing, but instead of that heavy, distorted dun 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 and like chunky palm muting, it's picking the notes, and it's just more of a kind of gritty tone. The other guitar parts, they're still ringing out, so they're kind of just gradually getting quieter as this part progresses. They're fading out. And now they're gone. Okay. And then this took a little bit of tinkering to figure out, but I wanted it to sound like it was coming to an end. And it's a little interesting because the drums don't play a beat here, but they still kind of keep some rhythm. They add some percussion and kind of accent certain parts. So listen to the drums here. Just accenting the guitars. So kind of accenting those changes. It's not really playing a beat. It's just accenting the hits, playing in sync, and then kind of that ending on the tom. And then the bass comes in. So you could hear the drums were hitting more cymbals and more kick, and that's because the bass is going to come in. I'm going to mute the drums, and let's listen to the bass. It's just ringing out. So again, the bass isn't drastically different from what it was doing in the verses. It's just kind of holding those notes out. Might be a little bit quieter, but it's matching the guitar. And so I'm going to mute the guitars that are ringing out. So you'll hear the basses first just kind of ringing out, but then it comes back in. And again, I can't really say why everything is doing exactly what it's doing. I just remember I knew the effect I wanted it to have. I just wanted it to sound like the song was coming to an end. And I think it had enough length where I couldn't just let it fade out. Like it still needed some movement, like something to happen. So it was just a matter of tinkering, like trying different things with the drums and the bass and kind of creating like expectancy. And but yeah, once it all fits together, I really like the way it sounds. it kind of has that like to be continued sound, you know? Like there's something about it, like I guess it's the chord that it ends on, but it kind of ends with like a kind of a positive note, boom. It's like, it's not a sad ending, you know? If you listen to that first chord that it ends on, like that's actually kind of a sad chord, but then like the song, it's kind of like picking you back up, sort of cheering you up, and then it kind of ends with like a little bit of hope. It's like to be continued. You know, it's not totally resolved. It's not, you know, like super happy ending, but it's kind of like, again, just like a little bit of hope that it leaves you with. And that's kind of what the lyrics do too. So again, the lyrics are gradually getting more optimistic as the song goes. And the last part, I kind of, you know, I sort of leave this up to interpretation for the listener. But I'll tell you how I think of this. I think there's actually two perspectives you could view this lyric from. So again, if it's me singing, if it's me talking, this could be me now addressing the listener, you know, me talking to the listener. And the lyrics say, I know you feel like a piece of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, because to me, you're treasure. So it's saying you're not trash, you're treasure. You know, it's just kind of like, it's acknowledging like the hurt, it's acknowledging what the song has been expressing, but then like one last little bit of hope, like, you know, your treasure. So that's one way to look at it. The other way is maybe it's been me expressing my frustration through the whole song, and maybe it's God talking to me. It's God saying, you know, because the whole song has been from the perspective of, I once, you know, saying from my perspective, I once believed, da-da-da. And now this is saying, I know you. So it's like, who are you talking to? It's like, you're talking to the person who's been expressing on this. So I kind of see it as like God saying to me, I know you feel like a piece of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, because to me, you're treasure. And so, yeah, so it's just kind of like leaving the listener with a little bit of hope.
Of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, 'cause to me, you're treasure.
And I will say, the interesting thing is when you're trying to convey something emotionally, like that's the trickiest part of vocal recording. Is it's not just singing it right, but trying to get the right vocal tone. And so I was really trying to try to get like vulnerability. I wanted the voice to sound a little, you know, we've had these big, heavy, aggressive vocals the whole time, and now I wanted the voice to sound a little more vulnerable. So here's just the guitar and the vocals.
I know you feel like a piece of trash, thrown away and forgotten, but please don't let go, 'cause to me, you're treasure.
So, you know, even some little bits of like some vibrato or even just straight up vocal shake, you know, kind of a little bit of vocal fry in there, like the kind of sound, like, and kind of breathy, you know, letting those exhales out, you know. You can even hear on that last word, you know, just finally like releasing that pressure. So, all right, we got one more section. That was the outro. We're going to look at the bridge, and then I think we're going to wrap things up. So, again, if anyone's tuning in, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. And definitely check out the video for this song that I posted. And if you could leave some comments and like the video, I certainly would appreciate it. So, coming out of the second chorus, let me find that. It kind of fades out, and let's go ahead and listen to what we're in for. This is definitely the heaviest part of the song, and I'll talk about it. Let's listen to what it sounds like going into it, and then I'll explain the thought process behind it. I went back a little far, so it does the chorus again. right, so I remember when I was writing this, I needed a bridge, and I think I knew that the second chorus, it was going to hold out, you know, still I'm tossed away, and just let that chord ring out. So I needed to figure out what I wanted to go to, and I think I wanted to go to something heavy. I wanted like something kind of riffy, and this is actually a rejected riff from another song. There's another song I'm working on, one you guys haven't heard, and I really like it. I still have to write the lyrics for it, so it's definitely not ready to be released yet. But I was writing the music for it, and I needed a certain part, and I was kind of trying a few different rhythms, and I wrote this breakdown riff, and I really liked it, but it wasn't right for that song. But I was like, I really like this. I'm going to hold on to it. Maybe it'll work for another song. And so sure enough, I think this song's a little faster, so I think I had to speed it up just a little bit, but it worked really well. So we'll listen to just the riff first. Let me find the guitar. So I wanted something chunky and heavy. And again, I don't have my guitar to sort of show what I'm doing here. But originally, let me see if I can find. When I first wrote this, it actually didn't have quite as much variation. All it was just this. So again, just a little redundant. So one thing that's really nice, this works in all different aspects of music, but I like to use this pattern. I call it the A-B-A-C pattern. So you have a riff like this, and that's like your main riff. So we're going to call that riff A. Okay? Da 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 da. Okay? Then the second time, we're going to play it the same way, but we want to end it differently. So we went high the first time, so now we're going to go low. So the second time, it's going to start off the same, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but instead of going high, da-da-da-da, instead of doing that, it's going to go da-da-da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's going to stay low. Okay? So that's riff A, riff B. Now we're going to go back to riff A. So this is going to sound like the first one. So it went high again. And then finally, the last one, this is riff C. So now we need like a variation. We need something different that kind of distinguishes it from the first two parts. So they're kind of similar, but they're different enough to kind of keep it interesting. So that's the riff there. And I'm using a technique there called inverted power chords. I'm playing in drop tuning, but I'm using inverted power chords. Again, I can't really demonstrate that, but it's a really cool technique. It sounds super thick when you add the bass. Like those chords right there. When you add the bass underneath it, the way they blend together just kind of makes this really thick sound. Let's see. And it just sounds mean, you know? So that's what I wanted. I wanted it to sound mean and aggressive and, yeah, just super intense, you know? So it's a very, very gritty. And then, of course, you got to have a good drum beat to back that up. And basically just that kick, 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 kick is matching, making every hit of the chord, just making it, giving it punch. And then you're kind of accenting the rhythm of the riff with the snare. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Dun, 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 pop, I think is what it does. Or the second time. Dun, 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 pop, dun, dun, pop. That's what it does. So. Yeah, so it's kind of dun 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 pop dun dun pop dun 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 pop pop dun 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 pop dun dun pop dun 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 pop pop. So just really trying to make this you know, just like really hard hitting breakdown. And then that last one, that ending, lots of cymbals. You know, just lots of cymbals there. Okay, so now the way to make that hit hard, so again, we're just going to focus on the music right now. We just came out of the chorus, so it's ringing out. So Stan, if you're still out there, you'll be glad to know that the bass really helps with this a lot. So while everything's ringing out, the bass is actually playing that riff. Right here. So they ring out and then the bass. And the reason that kind of works is what's happening is, you know, the other instruments, they're just letting, or I guess the guitar, it's just letting the key of the song ring out. It's just ringing out that one note. And the bass, so it's not interfering with the bass. The bass is playing the riff, but because it's in key, they kind of blend together. So you've got that tension from the, you know, the guitar's ringing out, and then the bass is kind of, again, sort of giving a teaser of what's to come. It's sort of building anticipation for this breakdown riff that's going to come. So it rings out. And again, the drums are just kind of... The drums are just accenting, kind of accenting with the cymbals and then kind of starting to build up. We do the toms. Building up. Yep. And then this dramatic pause, and then it's going to kick in. So that's all you're doing. You're just trying to build tension and anticipation. The guitars are ringing out. They're going to hold out, and then they're going to hold out again. And then that last part, that dun, 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 they're just going to hold that single note just to, it's building up to the climax, dun, 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 and then that sudden stop. So they're just ringing out. They're going to accent right here. And then they're going to build up, reaching. Okay, so building up. And then, again, we want that impact. So if you look at the other, what have we done in the other parts of the song? How do we create impact? By having a small moment. So we're going to use that good old telephone effect again. The guitar is going to play that riff by itself with the distortion, the telephone effect, and then the full band's going to kick in. So that's how you create that impact. So everything's going to build up, and then a little guitar. And then bam, it just explodes in, you know? So that's how you create that tension, and that's how you create that, like, that finally, that release where it just all kicks in really heavy. Now, what are the vocals doing here? So on the chorus, it ends with, still I'm tossed away. That I am good enough, I'm for now, promise to me up, still I'm tossed away. And thank you. Got the thumbs up from Stan, and Lady C said, you explain these things so well. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad. Hopefully it's interesting to listen to. So, all right, so I'm letting that lyric ring out. And then I say the chorus, like the title. And again, using that telephone effect just to kind of make it more distant, you know. It's not the main focus. It's kind of I don't know, just sort of creating some, just filling in some space there. And we're just repeating the line again, and still I'm tossed away like a plastic cup. So the vocals are following the same intensity as the music. It's building up, and still I'm tossed away, and I transition into that scream, and I'm letting that scream crescendo, I believe is the term. I'm letting it build up, you know. And still I'm tossed away. And then once again, it gets small, so we use the telephone effect on the vocals, so like a plastic, and then we're going to have the vocals kick in. And when we're doing harsh vocals, what really helps them blend together, it's really nice to have a high vocal, like a kind of a more high scream, and then a low, like growl kind of scream. So we've got that like a plastic, and then we're going to hear both the high and the low scream coming together. And still I'm tossed. And when it comes in, it just boom, it just like explodes in your face. It's just kind of, it's like, whoa, that's the effect you're going for. Now, it's kind of interesting. So a lot of times when I write this stuff, like I'm still working on my harsh vocals, and I don't always know how I don't know what's going to sound best until I get into the recording session. And for this song, I actually thought it was going to be mostly the high vocals. Even, I think in past performances, I usually do the higher screams during this section. But when I was listening back, I was just like, man, I really like the way the low growls sound. And so I kind of let the low growls take the lead, and then the high screams come in to sort of layer certain words. So it's sort of in spite of how much it hurts. So the first part starts low, in spite of how much it hurts, and then the second half is layered. So right here. All right, and then the second time, there's actually a melody here. I come back in with my singing voice, but I'm singing with a lot of grit. There's something inside of me. Those are the notes I'm singing, but I'm adding a lot of grit, and the growl and the scream, they come in and layer that. So right here. There's something inside of me. But it's the same pattern. There's something inside of me. So there's a pattern to the words here. In spite of how much it hurts, there's something inside of me. And I know it's more, and the last one's a little different because it kind of drags them out. But it's the same concept of starting isolated and then having the layers come in. So. It's going to do the same thing here. There's something inside of me, and I know it's more than just a brain. And so again, I don't know, just something about that growl. It just sounded intense. It just worked so good with the breakdown, and I really liked it. In the past, I've had to do a lot of layers. I didn't actually do as many harsh vocal layers with this. It just sounded good kind of on its own. It had like the right kind of rawness to it that I liked. But we have that big finish, and I know it's more than just debris, and they're both holding out. And then and then we just go from this big section, and then for that last chorus, in order to make it sound big, we're going to use that telephone effect again, make it sound small, and then come back in. So here's the transition into the final chorus. There's something inside of me, and I know it's more than just a brain. So there we. Oh, I should have let that keep going. So it's small. And then it kicks in. So there we go. I was eager to get back to the chat because I was reading some stuff. Stan saying he's angry. Nice. Bass is low, so start from the bottom and build up. Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, it's kind of the bass. It's kind of establishing the foundation, and then it's gradually building up and bringing in the other pieces. So that's a good way to look at it. And yeah, it's definitely the heavy section of the song, and I think angry is a good word, but I think passion is a good word too. Again, if you listen to the lyrics, it's actually one of the most positive parts of the song. It's very determined. In spite of how much it hurts, there's something inside of me, and I know it's more than just debris. So it's kind of like, if it's anger towards like a refusal to give in and look at yourself as, look down on yourself, but like a determination. It's a very determined, thing to keep going. So that's what I enjoy about the song. And that's what's kind of nice about it. You've got like the melody, you've got like just a little bit of everything. That's why this song means a lot to me, just because I think it shows a lot of different sides of what I do musically. It's, at the end, it's got like soft, tender moments, but then it's got like these heavy, intense, gritty moments, but they don't overstay their welcome. They happen, they make their statement, and then it goes back to like these very catchy choruses and melodies. And I don't know, just the way the song arranged. This is, I'm very excited for the new music I'm releasing. This is one of the, newer songs that I've written, and the first new song that I've released. And I'm excited. Now, that's not to say that every single song is going to sound just like this one, but I think you're going to see I think you're going to start seeing, I don't know. I think you're going to start seeing some cohesion, because again, there's going to be, I like to be dynamic in the music as I express it. So I'm going to have softer songs and I'm going to have heavier songs. And I just feel like this is a good song that kind of gives people an idea of what I'm about. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That is Plastic Cup. So if anyone has any questions, that's, we're going to be wrapping things up in just a moment here. So let me know if you have any questions, but catching up with the chat, Lady C was saying, it's cool how many different vocal sounds you're coming up with. That's part of what I enjoy too. And to be honest, it's kind of funny. I feel like that's like a little bit of a hack for me, or a little bit of cheat code to make myself appear as a better vocalist than I actually am. Because, like, again, I don't think I have like an American Idol singing voice, or like, what's it called? The Voice, like I don't think I've got that kind of singing voice, but by having like these other things I can do with my voice, it kind of like elevates, like, oh, at least I'm an interesting vocalist, hopefully, hopefully I can create enough distinction where it's like, oh, well, at least he's interesting to listen to, but I enjoy that variety to it, because again, there's different moments for it. That's what I like. So again, the most intense, you hear that breakdown, that bridge, like the heavy aggressive vocals, I really like that. But then at the end, you have these very soft, vulnerable, and so I like doing everything in between, and I like being able to express that kind of emotion through my music. Again, I kind of think of, I don't know, music as telling a story, and the songs as being different parts of like a movie or something, like a different journey you're going on. And there's going to be highs and lows, and there's going to be all sorts of different emotions throughout them all. So, so I definitely enjoy having those different variations to play with. Stan saying, got to nail the pauses. The pauses are so important to the power and emotion of the song. And yes, absolutely. It's that explosion sound, like an explosion when it's like, it's whenever that brief moment of silence, and then it just comes in with that pop, because it's creating contrast. It's that, you're going from the quietest moment to the loudest moment, and that's what makes it happen. And then, yeah, being super tight, with the pauses, having everything in sync really helps to make sure that it has the most impact it can have, and it's not just gonna sound too sloppy or too messy or anything like that. So again, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. That was my song Plastic Cup. Again, I just released that. It is currently available on Spotify, and it's currently distributing to other streaming platforms as well. You can find that song on my Bandcamp as well, so if you want to download it for free, you're certainly welcome to. And I just posted a video on Monday, so if you guys could check out the video, leave a comment, and like it, I would certainly appreciate that. And I've got a few other things for you. Let me post a link here, and I've got a few other things to share with you, and then I think we're going to put a wrap on all of this. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you'd like to support what I'm doing, again, especially since I have a new song out, the biggest thing I'm trying to do is just build up my audience, just trying to help more people be aware of what I'm doing. So since I got a new song, definitely be sure to share it with people, invite people to the streams, or share the videos, whatever it might be, and just engaging with the content as much as possible. That stuff really helps me out. If you'd like to stay notified, like, I'm going to be releasing more videos for this song. So if you want to be notified when the lyric video comes out, when the music video comes out, and when I release the stripped down version, if you want to be up to date when that stuff is released, in that link at the bottom, you can find a place to sign up for my email list. And this allows me to notify you directly to keep you up to date whenever I'm releasing new music, whenever I'm doing these live streams and all that stuff. So definitely sign up for that if you want to stay notified. If you'd like to show some extra support just to help me so I can improve the quality and keep doing this and keep bringing you guys more music, the best way to do that, there's a virtual tip jar in that link, and so I appreciate anything you're willing to provide there. If you want to get some merch, again, the weather's getting cooler, so if you want to get yourself a nice beanie or a hoodie or something like that, definitely check out the merch store. And again, on my Bandcamp, my music is available for free, but if you want to show just a little extra support, you can pay whatever price you would like for any of my songs there. So yeah, I definitely appreciate any support you guys are willing to share, and I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you are enjoying the new song Plastic Cup, and again, be sure to share it. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Until next time.